Welcome to Raw Take, everyone, the lifeline to your unfiltered media experience. Before we start the show, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're on Facebook, like, comment, and share. I'm your host, Gion Thomas. This is my co-host, Archie, and this is the Monday live stream. And we have special guest, Dr. Denise Maddox, and senior biology Prairie View A&M University student, Alexandria Roberts. She'll be joining us shortly. But and today they'll be talking about students' needs to get full teaching and to get really what they're paying for, getting that full knowledge of the education system and really getting the most bang for their buck. But before we start, tell us a little bit about yourselves, Dr. Maddox. Oh, and Alexandria is on, so perfect.
All right.
All right. Well, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me on. It is such an opportunity to be on your platform, it's outstanding. I've been watching all of your prior shows. My name is Dr. Denise Maddox, but informally, you can just call me Dr. Denise. That's just fine. And I live in Waller County, and this is a county that's become infamous for quite a few things. Most of all, voter repression of the students at Prairie View A&M University. Also, Ms. Bland lost her life here in Waller County. I am a retired pediatrician, and I attended school at several institutions. University of Texas at Austin, the honors program, Plan 2. Also, I graduated from the University of Texas Health Science Center in Dallas, Parkland Memorial Hospital, Southwestern University. I split my residency to do my internship at Emory in Atlanta, and I did the residency at LSU in New Orleans. And I've had several practices across the country because my forte was starting new practices. But I am now retired, and I am the county chair, Waller County Democratic Party county chair. And that's where I am right now, and trying to see what I can do to help the students at Prairie View achieve all that they need to achieve while they're here in our county, and we are so happy to have them.
Right.
And that's awesome. And as we have seen throughout the past couple of years, the Republicans are trying to suppress the students, especially students in rural areas, students at Prairie View, and just black and brown students all together, trying to suppress their vote. And so, Dr. Maddox, I really appreciate what you're doing, trying to fight for these students, because there's no one out there that really tries to give these students attention. And rural areas in general don't get that much attention. And so we're glad to have a fighter like you on the show.
I see we also have Miss Alexandria Roberts. Welcome you to your show, Miss Roberts. How about you tell us a little bit something about yourself as well?
I'm Alexandria. I'm excited to be on the show. Thank you guys for having me. I am a senior biology major at Prairie View A&M University. And I actually didn't start at Prairie View. I transferred here. I originally started my collegiate career at LSU, the same place Dr. Maddox went to as well. And about my sophomore year is when I transferred here to Prairie View. I studied biology. And yeah, I'm just excited to offer any insight, because I've had quite the experience with, the other side of college, the paying for college, just everything that goes into college other than education. So I'm excited to be here and offer some input.
Great. We're glad to have you.
Awesome. So let's talk about students' needs to get the full teaching that they're paying for. And so, Dr. Maddox, what would you say? What would you say about students? Do you feel as though that they're getting what they're paying for. We know that student tuition, especially college student tuition, is expensive. Students sign these loans and get into student debt, and this debt carries and it stays on their back for multitudes of years, decades, and this that issue definitely affects Black students, especially Black and brown students. So can you tell us a little bit about do you what do you feel, how do you feel about this?
Wow, I wish I had my bona fides in right now. I'm trying to remember which political leader it was that made it so that if you were someone like Donald Trump, you could declare bankruptcy as many times as you like and not have to pay anything back. But if you are a college student, that is the one debt you could not discharge. So I want to say that it was Joseph Biden who put that legislation through, or it could have been Bill Clinton. It really could have been. But saddling young people with maybe $100,000 worth of debt before they even get started precludes them from doing things like buying a home, having children, establishing roots in the community, because they are spending their most productive years trying to pay back a loan that is completely unnecessary. Because what we do when we educate our students is we elevate our country, and we should not saddle them with debt for that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Alexandra, can you tell us, as a current student right now, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about the loans that one day that you'll have to pay? Do you feel as though that you are fully, are you getting the most bang for your buck?
Oh, I have quite a lot to say about that. Especially even, like I said, I'm a transfer student. So I had loans from LSU, and I have loans now from Prairie View. And when I was at LSU for 1 year, I was out of state because I'm originally from Texas, went to Louisiana. It was $53,000 for 1 year. Now, I wasn't educated on the type of dorm or whatever, so I was staying in the most expensive dorm, which I had no idea, which was easily comparable, so I didn't understand the price difference. And when I would talk with students who were in state, I saw they were paying about $15,000 a semester, and I'm ending up with $53,000 of debt. I'm having to get co-signers and everything, which is actually the reason why I transferred to Prairie View, was because I couldn't continue 4 years of paying $53,000. They were saying, okay, well, after a while the fees will go down, but I still couldn't make that commitment. It was that was outrageous to me. And so now I'm at Prairie View, and it's actually affected me a lot because I'm in my senior year. However, I was sent a letter that I no longer apply for federal financial aid. So now I have to get things like grants and things and other things like that for this final year, just because when I did go to LSU, it took so much of what the government was going to offer me out of my 4 years. So I've definitely been on that end. Now, as far as is it worth it, I don't think it took that much money. I do value my education, and I feel like with college students, it's we don't really have a choice, because if you don't have a master's or a higher education, you're not really going to get a good job. So it's either you pay whatever they tell you to pay, or you're not going to have a successful life afterwards. You kind of really can't. It's kind of hard nowadays to make a living without higher education or with any kind of extra degree behind your name. So it's there's not really, okay, I'm just not going to do it. You kind of have to do it. So it's kind of puts you in a way where they can really charge you what they want because they know that it's a necessity in this time.
Yes, yeah, and that's terrible. Because on so many levels, because back in the day, back in the 1980s and in the 70s, college was so affordable back then, and just to see how the prices have raised, just astronomically, it's not even comparable. And so, and like you said, you have to get up. It used to be you were good with a bachelor's. Now you have to get a master's. It just keeps raising up higher and higher. some people, I've seen job listings, for a bachelor's, having a bachelor's in science or having a bachelor's in arts. They're paying you 15 20 $15 an hour, $20 an hour. I mean, that's insane. People, how are you going to ever get out of that rat race of paying bills to Uncle Sam, paying bills to all these different loans, and like you said, live a life, start a family. It's just you just can't. It's not financially feasible, and that's why you're seeing so many people hold off on starting families. I mean, that is a huge statistic out in America right now.
One of the things I look at when it comes down to college, you have the different levels that you go to college, you get a bachelor's, or you go to college longer and get a master's. Um, to me, it's like students are getting cheated from day one. You go to school. Let's say you, Alexandra, you are a biology major. So you go to school to be a biology major. You get a bachelor's, but you're not being taught everything about being a biology major when you get your bachelor's. You got to go to school longer to get a master's to get more teaching, but you're paying
Yes.
to get taught
Yes.
the course. So why is it that you have to go to school? You pay that much. You're overpaying as it is, and it's like you're paying for the whole course, but only getting a part of it. But then you got to go to school longer and pay even more to get the rest of it when you should have gotten the whole course in the beginning. So I think the whole level situation is just a whole situation of getting more money, basically. So what do you think about that? Okay,
Mhm.
Alexandra, can you hear me?
I wasn't able to hear you if you're asking the question.
Yes, I was asking, what do you think about? Did you hear what I had just said about what I think about the whole college situation and how you are going to school you're paying to receive a course in its entirety, but you only get a bachelor's, but then
Yeah.
you have to go longer, pay more money to get a master's to get the
Right.
entire course.
Definitely.
I don't think that that's fair.
Yeah. The
So yes,
especially
I'm
with
asking, what do
as a
you think
biology
about that?
major.
Yes, go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. Yeah. Yeah. Especially as a biology major, it's one of the degrees where you can't stop at a bachelor's. You have to go on. So either you're gonna go on to medical school, you're gonna go on to PA school, nursing school, whatever. But you really can't do anything with that degree other than teach, which you could have got your teaching certification without paying that much money in the first place. So you really do have to go on to another school, which is going to be a lot more money. And even adding on to like what I was saying earlier, I actually went up to them to ask about the fees and things like that because I was paying a lot of fees. That's what a lot of it is, not even tuition, but it'll be like tuition and fees. And so there was a lot of things that I wasn't even using, but it's added into those fees. So it's just a lot of extra that I feel like we do end up paying in the end. But again, like I said before, it's a necessity in this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I feel that you should get that teaching in the beginning. You shouldn't have to. I think that if you're paying master degree money, then that's what you should get. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but unfortunately, you only get a bachelor's first.
Well,
And
it's just like the first 2 years, you're kind of you're relearning half of the things that you were taught in high school,
right,
and then
what?
after that, then for your junior and senior year, that's when they start trying to get into the meat and potatoes. But anybody in any master's course or taking any master's classes know that's when you really start learning stuff, when you start really looking at course cases
Mm-hmm.
of different models that they've implemented and things of that matter. But you don't necessarily look at stuff like that in your junior or senior year.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Maddox, as a as a teacher, can you kind of speak? Can you kind of speak to that?
Well, I'm not a teacher. I'm a
Well, as a
physician.
former teacher,
Okay, and I kind of like the way that the Europeans do that.
Mhm.
They're pretty much through with the basics by about 10th grade, and at about 10th grade, that's when you go out and you start working in your chosen profession. So you're not squandering a whole decade of your life before you get into the meat and potatoes of what you want to do.
Mhm.
So that is one thing that I think that we can do. The students should get all of the basics by the time they're in the 10th grade, and they should be able to start going into their chosen profession. It should only take about 5 years to become a subject matter expert. So I'm thinking they're not teaching things the way they should or rolling it out the way they should, because it shouldn't be consuming this much of a person's life. It really shouldn't. And being in the position that I'm in the county, I get to know what people pay. I get to know, did they just finish the 10th grade? Did they get a GED? Did they get a master's? Did they get a bachelor's? I get to know that. And I see a real difference when it comes to Black people and Europeans. You can just have a 10th grade education in Europe, as a European, and your household can easily pull in $250,000 a year, right? So, no,
Wow.
this
Wow.
isn't Wallace. So this, it's like you're already behind. You're going to school all of these extra years, and people who, dropped out in the 9th grade are, pulling in $250,000 a year. So I didn't realize that that was happening until I started working around the county and getting more involved in, so what level are you, right? So I said, wow, while we're sitting there in school, for an extra decade or two, by the time we get out, we'll never catch up.
Yeah.
We'll never catch up, because they were afforded great financial opportunity without having any of these degrees early, very early.
Wow. The U.S. need to take heed.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there's anything bad about education. I'm just saying you're wondering, why are they so far ahead? I'm like, they don't have your level of education, and it shows in their conversation. But they are getting a head start. They really are. While we're getting more and more degrees, they're amassing more and more product, material, gain, family, and political position, and they're starting very, very early.
Yeah. I that is one thing that I try and preach on the show, that we need young people, we need young people of color to take these positions of power, to get involved, so we are not so far behind. It's unfair, but it's always been unfair to us. We have to kind of walk and chew gum and play, write the story at the same time, because we are not awarded that comfortability. So we have to do everything. We have to get these, and what's so disgusting about our system is, like, it's almost like you were saying, a European with a 10th grade level education can get paid way more than a Black person who has a master's or a doctorate degree. And it's just, it's like we have to jump through all these hoops just so we can be seen as equivalent to them. And it still doesn't equivalate financially. Like you still don't get that money or that financial benefit. But so one thing I wanna talk about is, can college students and citizens be seen more than just a consumer? As we see in our capitalistic nation, that everybody's just a number. we're just a consuming number. We're just, just little, just worker bees making the whole entire system run. So can we be seen more than just a consumer? And how do we take, and better yet, how do we take the steps to be seen more than just a consumer?
Either one of y'all can answer.
Yeah, and that question's over there to anyone.
You wanted to go, Dr. Maddox, or?
Yes, please, doctor.
Okay. So one of the ways even goes back to what Dr. Maddox was saying, really just pushing that gap line between so much like how long it takes for us to get our education, because that's also part of like being consumer, because we're under this for so long. We're constantly feeding out money. Whereas if we had opportunities, let's say, I went to two different schools. So I'm at HBCU now, but previously I went to LSU, which is not an HBCU, and they had so many programs with as far as networking. And so especially with my career path, a PA, it's a 2.5-year program where you can become a provider. Now that's astronomically shorter than going to school to become a full MD like Dr. Maddox is. That could really even improve how fast we get above the line as far as poverty and things like that. If we can go to school in 2.5 years and be making 6 figures, like that opportunity, but they don't know about it. Like I was like the first one that really brought that even to I don't really see that many people interested in being PA, but it's not because, they don't want to be PA, it's because they are not exposed to it. And so I look at other schools that have like these programs that really network them with PAs so that they can get connected with them. So like she said, they have more opportunity just because they have knowledge of it. Whereas if we did have knowledge of these careers where we could get above the poverty line in a short amount of time, we would take advantage of that, and we wouldn't be like so in a process where we're being consumers for so long.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So Dr. Maddox, can you add to that?
I think I for your original question, when you said, well, are the students just consumers? Are they, or are they something more? I think it's just gotten back mostly to a money-making thing. I really do think so. I mean, and especially the little things that are the hallmarks of citizenship. I don't notice those. And like Miss Roberts, I went to a PWI, and I also spent time at an HBCU, Fairview, in the summer and stuff. But they're not getting the same thing. They're not getting the same programs. They don't get the same opportunities. They don't even get little things. Like the students don't even have mailboxes. So I mean, I don't know. When I was at a PWI, I had a mailbox. I mean, did you get a mailbox? Alexandria, did you have a mailbox?
Now we do, so Prairie View has advanced a lot. There's a lot more technology, but as far as like the networking, just how advanced it was when I was at LSU, it's still not on the same level. We're just now getting up there. And like you said, the fact that we're so far behind and we're just not really having the knowledge of everything that's out there is what really puts us behind, because they just aren't educated. And if you don't know how successful you can be, you're never going to reach for it. You're never going to even, like, if you don't know that you can make an A, you're not even going to try.
Right.
So I think it's that.
Yeah, and it's disgusting how they keep, how just the allocation of resources is just it's just not, it's non-existent in HBCUs, and that is horrible. And you'll see schools like LSU, Duke, and all these other universities get, just the cash flow is insane. But to our HBCUs, it is, we're always behind the 8 ball. And that's what we want. We want access to the resources, and it's just terrible, and it's just disgusting how they just try to keep us away from that.
It is. And I always wonder, and my sister, who is an educator, we talk about this a great deal. Do the students at Prairie View feel like they're being taught well? Our thing is every student will be able to tell if their professor is really interested in educating them and making sure that they're
Right.
but I said I don't really think I see that in the people they have teaching the classes. I could be wrong. I have met some of the teachers at Prairie View who are amazing. I mean, just amazing. But the number of amazing students, amazing teachers that I've seen over time at Prairie View has gone down. And what I'm seeing more is commuter teachers. They drive in and they go through and then they're gone. And I wonder how available they are to the students, how invested they are in the students. How do they go the extra mile, like you were saying, to make sure they know what's available to them, the resources that are out there, who can they talk to? And I think the students are having to deal with more of commuter professors who aren't as interested as they used to be in making sure that their education is a success. But I would like to hear from Alexandria. What do you think, or is this just my imagination?
Oh no, it's definitely not your imagination. I will say this: in the biology department, we have a set of excellent teachers that have went out of their way, to just make sure, like, have seen numerous students into medical school, like have went out of their way, really teach us on a good level, but it is slim to none. It's slim to none. I can name 3 off the top of my head who are excellent professors, and that's in the biology department. I actually was talking with one of my friends who's a political science major, and she's literally going through a situation right now where she's having to go back to her teacher because her teacher will not help her. She's been not doing well on her test, and she's went to the teacher and she's like, "Oh well, go see the tutoring center. You're just not getting it." Like, she's not really taking the time to break it down. And when I talked with her, this is even before I found out that I was gonna come and speak on this, she was just telling me how she felt as if the teacher just did not care whether or not she succeeded or not. And I know this is a thing in the past that has happened with teachers just not really being invested in the students. Like she said, PowerPoint teachers. Like, I've had some great professors, but like I said, it's slim to none, and it's been in the biology department. Now, when I look across the board, it's not been great. Like she said, I actually noticed commuter professors. I didn't even know that was really a thing, but I know a lot of them, they'll teach at A&M College Station and also teach at Prairie View. Like, so they'll have and they'll even have their same parking pass. I noticed that, okay, we'll have a lot of teachers who also teach at A&M, but they maybe teach at Prairie View part-time or something like that. But that's what we've had. Now, hopefully they're doing something about it, because that also affects accreditation. And that's one of the things that I've heard, even a stigma that before I even transferred from to Prairie View, that was a concern, was the stigma that is even behind the HBCU, is that you're not going to be able to find a job whenever you graduate, because people just don't take their education seriously, or the professor is not pushing them or setting a standard to them to where they're actually learning things, so that when they go out to a job, let's say you go out to the job and it's somebody from A&M and it's somebody from Prairie View, you give them the same test, but the kid from Prairie View doesn't know anything, but they graduated with a 4.0. That makes no sense.
Nope.
That means the teacher is just passing them. They're not teaching. They're letting them. They're letting dishonesty run around the, campus, and so they're not really getting education. Well, people who actually want to learn, people who are actually taking their education seriously. Well, now that person is hindered because you go to the same school as somebody who is not doing well. So they're like, okay, well, all of them aren't doing well. All of them are not learning anything. It's just a bad reputation on the whole organization when majority are not really learning much.
I
So
think that and that's the problem because you know you're going to school, you're paying for this education, and like I said before, you're only getting part of it, maybe slim to none of it. Um, so, Gian, I don't know what you're about to say, but I want to ask, like, what should that be like? Maybe some kind of a screening or something for the educators to avoid having this problem because it seems like it may be a stereotyping problem too.
I didn't understand what you said. Can you say that again in a different way, please?
So if the teachers are looking at some of the students because you know the fact that they may not take their education serious, versus there's other students who take their education very serious, um, and they is there like a stereotype situation going on to where the teachers just not really giving 100% in teaching because they know that you know some of the students just don't take it serious.
Well, I think they're all paying the same amount. So, are you saying that the commuter teachers who are part-time teachers at Prairie View, who also maybe teach at Texas A&M, are you saying that they're they're stereotyping Black students, or are you saying they're stereotyping some Black students at the university
Well,
at Prairie View?
I'm actually saying that they're stereotyping students in general, and I'm talking about teachers in general, the educators in general. Is there a stereotyping situation going on because of the students that may not take their education serious versus the one that does? You can't teach according to one type of student and teach that way to everybody because if you have a student that you're teaching that's not taking the education serious and you know that as an educator, you can't treat those who may be taking the education serious the same way. uh, so that means you can't slack on your job as an educator. You know, it's like you were saying, Alexandria, that I think your friend need help, and the teacher just like basically refusing to help them because of it could be because of a stereotype, a stereotypical attitude towards that particular student because of how other students may not take their education serious. So the educator themselves need to the stereotyping should not be something that goes on. Everybody deserves to be taught because that's what they're going there for in the first place. So if I have a student that don't care and I have a student that does care, I still got to teach both the same way. And so I'm
yeah,
asking,
Archie,
you
you're
know,
saying like there's a broad blanket kind of
yes,
idea going on. Yeah, between yeah.
and it shouldn't be. So is do y'all think that? Do y'all feel like that? This is because of a stereotypical attitude that some of the educators have towards the students versus the ones who cares about their education versus the ones that doesn't, and that affects how they teach or if they teach.
Well, I'm not an educator. I should go call my sister. But I do know that just because you have that group of students who are young, gifted, and Black, and they're usually a bit of a problem because they want to move on very fast. They do get left behind by the system eventually. And then you have the students who don't know, they don't have a lot of confidence in themselves, and so they get left behind by the system also. And it's the students in the middle who tend to get a little bit more out of this system. It's designed for them. So, but I think the teachers have to teach all of the students. I think you
Exactly.
just can't teach the really bright students or the really, I mean, the just the students on the average, the ones who are just going to be average. You have to teach all of the students. They're all paying for a quality education. They really are.
Exactly.
And I just think it's your job. And you're a university now. You're not a public school, so you should be able to have the
Yes.
resources to say, there's a program out there. We're going to put you in this remedial program for the summer. You need to catch up so that you will be with your classmates in the fall because you're not there yet. And if there's someone out there who's overperforming, say we have an honors program, which Prairie View should bring back the honors program. We have an honors program, and we're going to.
They have it.
The Benjamin Banneker program, they brought that back.
No. We have an honors program and also an undergraduate medical academy. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. Who's the person's name you said?
I think this is a while back, the Benjamin Banneker honors program. And that'll take those other students out of the mainstream and take them a little bit faster. But I think as a university, you owe the students you have the ability to do things with a little more flexibility. I just think you do.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the things that just in thinking about this, what am I trying to say? I totally lost my train of thought. But we were talking about the students.
We were talking about teachers teaching fairly, regardless of the type of student that they're teaching.
Okay. With the teachers teaching fairly and the broad blanket, how do we? Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. How do we address this? How do we fix these teachers' attitudes? I know, Archie, you had said maybe a vetting process. Do you think we need more teachers that are involved in the community, more teachers who are maybe have more like a vested interest in the community, that maybe have a more vested interest to see these students succeed? Would that be a way to try and address this? Alexandria, you can go first on that one.
Okay. Yes. Definitely, I believe it has to do with just holding the professors accountable for the things that they're teaching, holding them accountable for the time that they spend with the students, and listening to them too. I've had some professors who do care about the students' education, and they'll see things like dishonesty or something, and they'll take it to the dean, and it'll just be overlooked, not really considered. And so when there's no repercussion for things like dishonesty, that means dishonesty is going to continue. And so they're just going to basically be prompted to not really learn the information, because you want them. It's not just about, the dishonesty, which it is, but are you driven to actually learn the information? Yeah. Like when you know that you're going to be held to a higher standard, you're going to push harder to make sure that you understand the information, like you really know the information. And so when there's no repercussion or anything like that, they're not even going to try to learn the information actually. And that's what I've experienced, even with a professor trying to get that across to the dean, and it was just like thrown off. Whereas when I was at the PWI, I think there was something where there was dishonesty going on, even in a group meet. It was the smallest thing, and they were all called in and about to get expelled. Just the standard that they held. I think that's really what it is, that HBCUs should hold themselves at a higher standard. They shouldn't expect, because Black people are bright, we're intelligent, we can be held at a standard, so to not just drop the bar because you think that we can't accomplish something. I think that's what they need to do, is hold the higher standard. And I even know my teacher, my anatomy physiology teacher, he's actually one of the deans, and they're thinking about raising even that GPA requirement so that we can compete with other universities and things like that. But I definitely think it's holding, like you said, what can we do? Holding the teachers responsible for teaching us. Like I said, there's no reason why my friend should be having a problem where she can't really get information from her teacher, and her teacher doesn't really want to take the time and spend the time with her. I know we just came out of COVID, and people are, kind of got used to being lazy, kind of got used to not really having to have that one-on-one time with the student. I'm not sure if that's a factor or what's going on, but I that's unacceptable to me. Like, they really should spend time with the student, especially we're paying so much money. We should at least get taught.
Exactly.
We're paying too much money to not have a quality education.
and have access to these teachers. I mean, I should be able to text you, call you, email you, and
Mm-hmm.
within a timely manner, you should be responding back to me. I know I had a situation at TSU, and this teacher, like he when he would in like private sessions, because I was having some problems with him, and just the way that he was grading, and just the way that he would talk to us. I mean, I literally got it on camera, because I was like, wow, I can't believe that this man is actually talking to me in this tone of manner, like cussing at me, and just almost just belittling me. And I'm like, sir, you're supposed to be my teacher. I'm supposed to feel comfortable to come to you, with these with these issues, with these problems. And just the way for him just to like treat me, and just call me out my name, and then just trying to get him in, like trying to, because I wasn't going to stand for that, so I went to the next level, trying to get some answers from the higher ups. And it was just like, oh, he's kind of like that, he's a little harsh. And I'm like,
Like it's okay.
yeah, like it's okay. Like, how are you going to stand for that? That's, I don't know, that's just asinine.
So it sounds like the screening needs to be up higher than just
Yeah,
teachers.
I think that's what it is. I was going to ask Alexandria, do you think, maybe, not getting you in any trouble and saying, maybe it is the administration? Because they say the fish rots from the head. So maybe maybe it's the lack of expectation in the administration. We're just going to hire these teachers who are so, and I think that maybe that's where it has to start. I mean, if you have bad teachers, it's because
And
you have bad leadership.
Yep, I agree.
right. And what I was gonna say, like even to add to what you were saying, um, I thank God they're in the works of doing that. I believe so. Even clearing out, I've been seeing staff changes and things like that, just because it has been brought to their attention. Just the the standard of the administration. Even with financial aid, just professionalism. That's one thing that was lacking, professionalism in the setting. I understand, they just wanted culture, whatever, but still having professionalism in an institution is even going to put us on a higher map as well. But like she said, yeah, definitely the administration, but I believe they are doing that. Even with the new president that we have, Ruth Simmons, she was actually, I believe she was the president over an Ivy League. I'm not sure if it was Rice
Brown.
or I can't remember, but
Brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
So she's been making a lot of changes, and I've seen those changes, and I know it's improving. But like we were saying earlier, when you're so far behind, it's going to take a little bit of work and time to get us back to where to get us up to where everybody else is.
Well, that's good that they're making change. That's good. That's a start right there.
So, with my next question, Dr. Maddox, as being the Waller County precinct chair, how can you what are you doing best to help the students of Prairie View?
Well, I think it was my idea to have Alexandria on. So I'm trying to give the students a platform so that they can be heard, even if I have to borrow someone else's platform and get them on that. But I don't think that people are listening to them. I don't think that they're being heard. And I'm just going to get as many as I can, as much exposure as I can until they are heard, so that we can get their issues addressed. They have so many issues that need to be addressed in Waller County. They do need, but anyway, they have, there's a lot of things we can do for the students at Prairie View A&M University. And I have every intention of bringing them to the fore and giving them an opportunity to say what it is that they need.
Yes. And that is a great trait of any leader, to see what their constituents, especially a section of their constituents who are never not seen as viable voters. So many people look down upon the young vote, just in general, because the young people, they're not seen as being active. They're not seen as likely to vote, when those things are so highly untrue, especially
Mm.
within my generation and the younger generations. Harvard studies have showed that we are the most active politically in years, in decades. So just the sentiment of thinking like, we don't have to listen to the young folks, we don't have to, they're not bringing in enough dollars, they're not a viable voting group, that is just so not true. And so just Dr. Max, I just love how, like you said, you're gonna give them a platform, even if you have to borrow someone else's platform. And
Yeah.
we really thank you for having Alexandria on. She had to leave. She'll probably be back with us.
Yeah, she's
Um,
having where she is, that's internet problems. So
okay, so
yeah.
yeah, so hopefully we'll get her back on. But Dr. Max, we love that, like I said before, that is a effective trait of a leader, looking at a section of their constituents who are not heard, who don't normally get a platform, and finding a way to get them a platform. So we thank you for that.
Well, thank
Yep.
you for having me. Like I said, I'm so honored to have been asked. It is such a pleasure meeting both of you gentlemen. And thank you so much for helping out with the students at Prairie View, and helping to give Waller County a little bit of a voice also. It goes a long way, and we do appreciate
All right,
Okay.
we have a rejoining
Okay.
right now.
Oh. I think we clicked it at the same time.
Yeah, I think we did. We added and removed that.
Oh my goodness. So Alexandria, we were just talking about what Dr. Maddox could do as a precinct county chair to best help the students of Prairie View. And so she was just saying, a lot of walls, a lot of defenses that y'all are running into. And so Alexandria, we would love if you could just expound upon some of the things that y'all are facing, some of the adversities y'all are facing, to stop y'all from being politically active.
Okay, and what do you mean by politically act, as far as like us being involved in running for Senate, running for like things like that?
Well, just in the community politics, as regards to voting, and I guess like redistricting and just things of that matter. I mean, just if you could just speak a little bit on it, just some of the adversities y'all face as students at PV.
Um, I believe recently it was we were not even able to vote. Now this is a university, um, like in our area we would have to go like out. So me, I had to drive. Now if I didn't have a car, I wouldn't have been able to vote in the last election, but I did, so I was able to vote. But I would have to like drive back home. It's just a very complicated process in getting registered at the university, because they kind of want you to do it in your own area. Now some people are from California, some people are from Washington D.C. They're all over. It's a college. People come here from all over America, or even in Equatorial Guinea. So it's just very hard to even get them registered to vote. And so I know that there was like a process they tried to set up at the MSC, but it was still difficult. I think that was one of the main things. But I know with this I think it was with the Beto election or something like that. That was when they really started, fighting to kind of get us, make us able to vote,
Yeah.
to set up everything. And I know they're pushing it now, but that was one of the biggest things, was us not even being in the proper district to vote, and it being difficult for us to get that, especially being in Waller County. Um, yeah, and then could you ask the question like one more time? I want to make sure I went over everything. Would you say?
Oh, just asking about just some of the adversities y'all face as students at Prairie View. But I think unless you have any more to say, I think you covered some really good points.
Yeah, that, and just really getting educated. That's the only thing I would add. Being educated about what who's out there, who's running, and getting accurate information.
Yeah. It's we have taxation without representation, and that's basically what it is. That's not legal. Y'all basically pay taxes within this area. Y'all give y'all money within this area, so y'all need to be represented within this area. And so if y'all do decide to vote in in County, then there needs to be a way for students to have access, and for students to be able to register to vote for that vote in that county. And so they need to make it easier, because if you're living in a place for 4 years, that's going to definitely affect you. That's going to wholeheartedly affect you. So you definitely want to have representation within that area.
Yes, there might be a process set in stone, but I know it's a rather long process, and I didn't have enough time to change everything to be able to do it in that cycle. So if there is a process, it was quite long.
Okay. And friend of the show, Liz Townsend, said Powered by the People ambassadors are doing a vote registration Thursday, October 28th through no, it's October 28th, 11 through 3 o'clock. So if you are in the Waller County area, if you are out there, please register to vote, because it is paramount that we get young people registered to vote and politically active, because we need representation. We need to have a say in our politics and what goes on.
May I say one more thing? How much? We have a couple of minutes. It is
yeah.
my long-term goal is the students at Prairie View A&M University come through weekly for orientation before they start school, especially the freshmen. And my goal is
I'm gonna need you to repeat that statement. Your internet is coming in
global internet. But my goal for the university is, as they schedule students in pre-orientation during the summer before they start their freshman year. And I said, you have a process for everything, for getting their health care, for registering their cars, for getting them a dorm, for getting their classes assigned, for getting their medical care. I said, can we just please be one of those booths? Go to booth 1, go to booth 2, go to booth 3, and register to vote. And that way, during the summer, we register all the new freshmen, right? And they're good until they leave. But so far, the university hasn't seen, they said, well, you can go get a table. But I say, if we're not a part of the orientation process, they're not going to stop at the table, right? Unless we have T-shirts or something. Yeah. But that is my goal for the university, to make this standard at the university. You stop by these tables and get these things done. And in your getting ready to start your new life, here's your voter registration card. Fill this out and go on to the next table for ROTC.
Yes. We definitely need, you definitely need to have a booth there, so you can. I mean, it's just common sense, but there are so many forces at work that don't want the young to vote, that don't want Black people to vote, that don't want they don't want that change to happen within rural area counties, because they feel the Republican Party feel as though they have such a stranglehold on those areas. And so if we are registering thousands of students, because every year a new group of freshmen, that's thousands of students. If we're registering thousands of students, that can definitely have an impact on the area.
So anyway, that's my goal. I'm hoping one day I can get the administration to buy into it, and we get all the freshmen registered. They know that they're registered, and that way at least they have the opportunity to participate fully in the franchise, whether they do or not.
Exactly. So, Dr. Maddox, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank Alexandria. She had to run her. We've been having some internet connections problems. It's all good, but we want to thank her for her giving her insight and her expounding upon the needs that students need at Prairie View. Because we want their voices to be heard. We want all voices to be heard, but we have to understand that there are forces at work to suppress our voices, and so we definitely need fighters like Dr. Maddox. We need other fighters who are other precinct chairs who are going to talk with try and talk with the different universities, talk with different business owners, just be active and try new innovative ideas to try and get something done, because we have to. We are at a breaking point within our system in America, and we need all hands on deck. And so we will give platforms to anybody who is trying to fight and try and better their system and better their community. So we can finally get some real change. And it all starts in your backyard. It starts on a local level. And so once again, we want to thank Dr. Maddox. All of her information will be down in the description, so y'all can contact her and get if you have any questions for her, you can definitely ask her. Is there anything else, Archie? You want to say something?
Again, I just want to thank Dr. Maddox as well as Alexandra Roberts for coming on the show. It was a pleasure, and we look forward to having you back.
Yes, most.
Well,
definitely.
it was my pleasure. Thank you.
So, guys, that's our show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any uploads. Also, you can find us anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. Peace.